Ayan, so nagjo-join na isa-isa. So let me just turn off the music.
Hi po, good morning ma'am.
Yes, morning.
Good morning po.
Good morning, ma'am. Morning. Ayan, so good morning class. Since kompleto na tayo, umpisahan na natin ang discussion ng ating lesson. So before anything else, let's have a recap. So anyone na pwedeng mag-share kung ano ang nauna nating na-discuss?
Ma'am!
Yes, Mikasa?
Ma'am, our lesson is all about the introduction to life science wherein we tackle some important concepts including life itself. And to check if an organism is living, we discuss some important factors such as movement, sensitivity, complexity, and depth.
Very good, Miss Herman. In addition, I want to emphasize that movement and complexity are not sufficient to identify if something is living biologically. So, who else want to share?
Ma'am,
Yes, Cassie?
aside from that po, I also learned about the fundamental properties of life, which includes the cellular organization, sensitivity, growth, development, reproduction, regulation, and homeostasis po.
Yes, thank you, Miss Mondragon. So, these head characteristic class can change at pwede ring madagdagan since there are still many undiscovered organisms in our own planet. And I want to emphasize that growth and development are different. Yung growth, yan yung pagtangkad o paglaki sa tao at pagdami naman sa bacteria. Well, sa development, yan naman yung pag-mature or qualitative changes. So, let's move on. So, how about the different theories about the origins of life?
Ma'am.
Oh, yes, Pia.
The first one says that the world, the universe rather, was created by a divine God and said to be a scientific creationism. The next is the extraterrestrial origin, which states that life that exists on Earth may have been transported from somewhere else in the universe. It could be from the collision of an asteroid, which sends broken material composed of organic compounds. And lastly, Ma'am, I forgot na po eh.
Okay, so let's call a friend.
Ma'am,
Okay, yes, Miss Catriona.
so the third theory is the spontaneous origin. Sinasabi lang po dito na all organic materials came from nowhere. Or in other words po, bigla na lang po nagkaroon ng organic material.
Okay, so thank you, Miss Gray. Very good class. So, ayan, na-review na natin and let's proceed to our lecture proper. So, let me just share my screen. So, yan class, nakikita na ba ang aking screen?
Yes po, ma'am.
Yes, thank you sa mga sumagot. And again, welcome class. I am Ma'am Julian and Malaga, your Earth and Life Science instructor. So, let's start for our topic intro. The question is, what are cells? So, we all know that cells are the basic unit of living things, and we are all made up of cells. It performs several important functions that we need in our life. And paano nga ba na-discover yung cell? So, let's proceed with our first topic, which is the discovery of the cell. The first one here is Hans Lippershey and Zacharias Janssen. We all know that cells are microscopic organisms, which means they can't be observed through our naked eyes. So, we need this instrument called microscope. And sila yung kauna-unahan na nag-produce or invent ng compound microscope. So, ito yung nakikita nyo sa screen na invent noon 1600s. Next is si Anton van Leeuwenhoek. So, he is acknowledged as the father of microbiology. Siya din yung first human to witness living cell under a microscope, which is siya din yung gumawa mismo. Ayan yung nakikita nyo sa screen. That said, living cells happen to be bacteria. Yung una niyang nakita yon sa dental scrapings ng ngipin niya, na-remind siya ng maliliit na hayop. Kaya instead of bacteria and protozoa, tinawag niya yung we animalcules describing little animals. Next naman natin is si Robert Hooke. Siya yung nakadiscover ng plant cells sa cork noong 1665. Ano ba yung cork? So, cork is kahoy class. Parang siya yung tinatakip sa mga bote ng wine, kalimitan. And si Robert Hooke, siya yung pinasimulan ng term na cells. Bakit? Kasi nung nakita niya yung plant cells, naalala niya yung room kung saan natutulog yung mga monks sa kanilang monasteries. Tinatawag daw yung cellas. Kaya tinawag niya dun sa mga plant cells na nakita niya is cells. And lahat ng findings niya is pinublish niya into a book entitled Micrographia. Hindi lang yan. Si Robert Hooke din is nag-encourage ng marami pang biologists to produce more microscope. Kagaya na lang sa panahon natin ngayon, ito yung iba't ibang mga microscope na ginagamit. 200 years after Robert Hooke, there comes the two scientists who work together to formulate this what we call cell theory. Sino ba sila? Number one is si Matthias Schleiden, which is a botanist who study about plant structure, and at the end of his study, he defined cell as the basic unit of plant structure. On the other hand, Theodor Schwann, a zoologist, study about animals, and sinabi niya rin that all animals are made up of cells. So, same lang yung findings nila, halos same lang din yung discoveries nila. So, they decided to work together. And they give birth to what we call cell theory. Pero, sa last part ng kanilang cell theory, nagkaroon ng pagtatalo. Bakit? Ang sabi kasi ni Theodor Schwann, cells come from pre-existing cells. Pero hindi, pinangatawanan kasi ni Schleiden that cells form by free cell formation. And dito na pumasok yung third proponent ng ating cell theory, which is Rudolf Virchow. And sinabi niya from all his research that all cells only arise from pre-existing cells. Ma'am, ano ba kasi sinasabi ni Schleiden na pre-cell formation? Ano po ba yun? So, ito ay may connection sa tinatawag nating spontaneous generation theory, which is marami ding nag-disprove niyan. Katulad na lang ng Francesco Redi's experiment, which is yung about sa raw meat, kung saan class dito sa first bottle, so nakaseal siya. And then, walang nag-arise na life, walang maggots. Sa second glass, ang tinakip kasi is manipis na tela, which is what we called gauze. So, yun yung pinantatakip sa sugat, and nag-arise yung maggots sa taas nun. Sa third naman class is, syempre, wala nang nakatakip. So, mas madali na naka-arise yung mga maggots doon from the flies. So, the second experiment is the Louis Pasteur's Swan Flask experiment. So, dito sa una, nag-hit siya ng broth. And then, nung nakasil yung flask, there are no growth happened. Pero nung broken neck yung ginamit niya, doon nagkaroon ng contamination. Kasi yung outside air is pumasok na nag-carry ng microorganisms. So, as a conclusion, cells can only arise from pre-existing cells, which is yun yung sinasabi ni Rudolf Virchow na third proponent again of the cell theory and the father of the modern pathology. The postulation of the cell theory, all living things are made up of cells. It is the smallest living unit of structure and function of all organisms, and all cells arise from pre-existing cells. Next class is the two type of cell, namely prokaryote and eukaryote. So, pag prokaryote class, it's unicellular, while eukaryote is either unicellular or multicellular. So, ano ba yung unicellular? So, it only needs one cell to perform all the functions, while multicellular, it is composed of two or more cells with specialized or different functions. Domain bacteria and archaea are based on prokaryotic cells, while eukaryote belongs to the domain eukaryota or eukarya. Next is for the similarities. So, prokaryote and eukaryote both have DNA and RNA, which is critical for genetic information, ribosomes, which create protein, and cytoplasm, as well as they both have cell membranes. And for the difference class, pag prokaryotes, nasabi na ito yung older type, and eukaryote evolved from prokaryote. Prokaryote smaller, while eukaryote larger. Prokaryote class nagre-rhyme with no. No. So, prokaryote have no nucleus and no membrane-bound organelles. While eukaryote, they rhyme with do. So they do have nucleus and they do have membrane-bound organelles. Next class is the cell structure of prokaryotes. This is an example of E. coli, a bacteria mainly found in the intestine of human and animals. It has many parts such as the capsule, cell wall, cell membrane, ribosome with 70S, while in eukaryote class, it is 80S. So in prokaryotic cell, the ribosome is smaller. Plasmid, cytoplasm, pilus, which has two function, attachment pili and sex pili. So for attachment pili, it helps them to attach in surfaces, while sex pili, it is for bacterial conjugation. Nucleoid, flagellum, which is for the locomotion or the movement of the cell. So yun yung iba't ibang part ng prokaryotic cells. So let's move on with the cell structure of eukaryotes. So let me first explain the origin of eukaryotic cells, which is stated in the endosymbiotic theory. Ma'am, ano yan? Ang hirap naman yan eh. So, class, hindi, basic lang yan. So, ang unang nangyayari dyan is meron daw photosynthetic bacteria which produces food from the sunlight, and bacteria that uses oxygen to produce ATP or energy. And meron ding large bacteria, kagaya ng nakikita nyo sa screen. And sinasabi sa endosymbiotic theory that large bacteria engulfed the small bacteria. However, hindi siya na-digest, kundi namuhay siya sa loob ng large bacteria in the process that we called endosymbiosis. And then, kalaunan, kinain niya rin yung photosynthetic bacteria that believed to be developed into chloroplasts and mitochondria that we know today. So, for the similarities class ng plant cells and animal cells, they are both eukaryotic cells. They both contain rough and smooth ER, Golgi body, mitochondria, ribosomes. Class ng ribosomes, they are not technically organelle. Why? Kasi they are not membrane-bound. Next is the cytoskeleton, cytoplasm, and the cell membrane. So, for the differences naman class, so sa animal cell class, wala silang cell wall. Ang plant cell class, meron. So, cell wall provides structure and protection for the cells. Next is sa animal class, wala silang chloroplast while the plant cell class meron. In chloroplast, it is the location of the photosynthesis which allows the plant to convert sunlight into sugar. Next is the vacuole, which is sa animal class, it is smaller, and in plant cell, it is larger, kagaya ng nakikita nyo sa ating screen. Next is class in animal cell, they have lysosomes, while in plant cells, they do not have. In animal cells class, they do not have plastids, while in plant cells, they have. So, plastids comes in different forms. So, kagaya ng nakikita nyo sa screen with also different specialized functions. Last is the centrosomes, which meron yun sa animal cells while wala naman sa plant cells. So, centrosomes have spindle fibers attached to the chromosomes during mitosis. So, lastly, let's go with the facts. So, the human body is composed of trillion of cells, and about approximately 300 million cells die every minute in our body. But don't worry, class, because that cell is necessary for us to replace those old and broken ones. So, mas problem siya kapag hindi na mamatay yung cell ng isang tao or ng isang organism. So, let's end this presentation. But before we end this meeting, I want you to watch this video which I have made. Sa dulo part kasi ng module nyo, class, meron dong photosynthesis. And I just want it for us to have a review through a song. So, ayan, class. Ngayon pa lang sinasabi ko na pagpasensyahan nyo na yung boses ng teacher nyo. So, teacher lang siya pero hindi siya singer. So, ayan, tignan na natin. And you can sing along, class, as well as you can read the lyrics. Again, let's watch this video.
Let us review and explain the word photosynthesis comes from the word photo for light and big word synthesis. That means putting together. Easy to remember. What does it really mean? Let us know it better. The process that transforms light energy, the source is the sun, that will turn into chemical energy stored in sugar and other organic molecules in green. Plants photosynthesis is used to make their food. The chloroplasts in plants and other photosynthetic organisms process. Photosynthesis nourishes almost the entire living world, direct or indirect. The importance of photosynthesis in the maintenance of life on earth was seen. If photosynthesis is there would soon be little food, organic matter on earth.
So, class, do you have any questions?
Wala na po.
Wala na po.
Wala po,
So,
ma'am.
mukhang wala naman. And let's end this meeting. Before anything else, I will send this PowerPoint and please review everything, and I want you to rest, prioritize your mental health because it is more important. So, ayan. Thank you, class. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye po. Thank you po.
Thank you po, ma'am. Bye-bye po.
Arigato.
Kamsahamnida.
Bitch, nanan solo.